So, welcome back to the Tap HR podcast and YouTube channel. We always record both at the same time. Today, I'm joined by the fabulous Marc Briggs. Marc is from the DSM group, and whilst they cover all things IT, Marc's going to talk to us today about cybersecurity. So, Marc, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
You are most welcome. So, as much as I would describe myself as a little bit of a geek, I actually don't really know a lot about cybersecurity. So what exactly is cybersecurity and what do people mean when they say that?
Exactly. It's a good question, to be fair, because it's an ever-changing landscape. And the problem is with cybersecurity is a lot of people switch off when they hear about it. You know, it's not an interesting subject, but it's a very, very serious kind of subject sort of thing. So in a nutshell, cybersecurity is all about protecting your systems, be it laptops, computers, servers, and so on and so on, the hardware and software and things like your data from cyber threats, you know, hackers and things like that. So it's your protection system, really.
Okay. And why have people been talking about it more lately? I feel like recently there seems to be more press about it. People are talking about it more. What's happened to make that happen?
That's absolutely right. I think the main thing there, as you've mentioned, is the press. You know, there's a lot more coverage now because there's more high-profile cases out there. A lot of things going traction. It's an easy one for the press there. But probably the biggest thing and reason why is cyber crime. Apologies. Cyber crime is it's a business. Okay, so it's worth a lot of money to hackers and things like that. Looking through. The UK cybercrime industry is worth about 27 billion a year alone, you know, so it's a huge thing. There's a lot of money to be gained from it. A lot of, you know, company exposure can be done. A lot of blackmailing kind of things from it as well. So yeah, it's probably become more affluent because it's not now. A few years ago, it was purely about large businesses getting, like Microsoft getting hacked and Yahoo and so on and so on. But now it's on the tip of people's tongues because the way that hackers do it is it can be done on a small scale, so it affects everybody. It can be right down to small firms getting ransomware attacks, which I'll go into later, right through to things like Facebook, you know, romance scams and things, and people being targeted for that as well. So it's from business right into people's personal lives as well. So it's a biggie like that, really.
And I don't know if it's a silly question, but how are people making money out of kind of cyber crimes and targeting people in the way that you described?
Yeah, absolutely. In a business way, I mean, what we see a lot of is, so we look after at DSM kind of small businesses to medium. Okay. And one thing that we see with potential hacks, people trying to do it, trying to get in there, is data. So people try and get into the backups. They'll switch on the computers one day, and then they find out all the work's encrypted, and that could be anywhere from emails being held right through to any incoming works or anything like that. Everything will be blocked, you know, and if they don't, and the ransom people will come up and put a message up and say, look, if you don't give us this amount of money, we're going to wipe your data. You're going to have no leg to stand on or whatever.
The question was, how are people making money from it? So I suppose an example I had, and I suppose it'd be good to understand whether or not you'd class it as a cyber threat. I worked for a company in HR, and what they were doing was targeting all of our new starters. So they'd keep an eye on our website when we posted that a new person had started. They'd then pretend to be like the CEO or kind of the finance director.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Interacted with them, and they would ask them to do like random stuff, like buy Google Play cards and send them through to them, or like buy vouchers and send them through to them. And obviously, your new starter in their first few days is quite vulnerable and doesn't necessarily have a rapport with the CEO or the finance director. So we had at least a couple of occasions where people were like, oh, well, okay, and like sent them the stuff. So is that something that you would consider to be a cyber threat, or is that something different?
What it is, absolutely. That's a good demonstration of that. Yeah.
And I suppose another example that I had was we had a company target our people, particularly the finance team, and we're saying, pretending to be the CEO or the MD, saying, I really quickly need you to transfer this money. Like, don't ask me questions, just send me the money because it's just really important. So, and they'd set up email addresses that kind of looked like, you know, the senior member.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Getting through that way. So is that something that you see happen fairly typically, or will we a special case?
No. That's a huge thing. That's you've got basically the main way that people get targeted nowadays is through phishing emails. Okay, so 95% or thereabouts, give or take a couple of percent, is through email. Okay, and the email is opened by a person, so this breach is going to be through a person that's doing it. Okay, and from there, there's two types of email. There's your general kind of phishing attack email, which is a widespread one sent out, and it could be the same kind of message. It could be something like a gift card. You know, hooray, you've won a gift card. You know, click here to redeem your gift card, and that works very successfully. Okay, but the next kind of attack is spear phishing, and that's where it's targeted to a specific person, and that could be CEO, you know, impersonation fraud or what have you. So they've been watching. They're in your systems, they're in your emails, and they're watching the behaviors of the CEO or the finance manager or somebody like that. Okay. And they notice from the emails that the CEO has put his out of office on, he's out of the country or what have you. And obviously the other staff in the company know. Now you could, then the malicious people could then use that opportunity where the boss is on holiday to say, oh my goodness, I'm stranded here. I need a transfer of money, or I need to purchase a new laptop because I just dropped mine on the airplane and I need it to carry on with my works. Obviously, you know, a different country and it's late here, time zone. Don't ring me. Look, take this email as granted. Please do it now. You know, lady accounts, man in accounts, authorised this purchase now. And you think it's the boss, you know he's on holiday, you know it's his email address, it's exactly his signature and so on and so on. You do it, you know. That has happened several times. So that's, you know, one example of it sort of thing. And that's how things are changing now. They're evolving to be more precise, more personal attacks, I think, really. And that's the way it's all going.
I was going to ask you about how things have kind of evolved over time, but I think that's a really good become a lot more personal.
It is, yeah. Years ago, it was just a spray and hope, I think, you know, kind of attack with emails again, you know, nothing personal. But now you're not dealing with I don't know, a high school, college kid or what have you. It's a group, you know, an organised professional outfit that are watching your emails, you know, watching what's going on within the company, noticing your buying relationships, who you're buying from, what's the average transaction amount, those kind of things, and taking that opportunity when it presents itself to pounce on it. So yeah, they're not stupid, you know. It's scary.
Scary, isn't it, that people are sitting watching and looking at
it is. The other thing is, you know, we all use, as a lot of you, you know, listening or watching might have heard of something called Microsoft 365. So now your email's in the cloud. Okay, with Microsoft, with, you know, wonderful platform, and with modern software, you can set up rules. So if you get an email from such and such person, it automatically falls onto another group. Brilliant. So a lot of businesses do that. So if purchasing thing, it can go to another person, so two people are aware. Right, you know, but the malicious side of it is rules can be created if someone's in your email account without you knowing. So if you get an email in from somebody you're about to do a large transaction with or something like that, it could be hidden from your inbox and sent to somebody's Yahoo or Gmail account that you've never heard of, the hackers. They can see their email and then respond to it accordingly. So they get this information coming in without you seeing it. Then they can respond through your account to somebody else to set up a sting, you know. So yeah, absolutely. It's stuff to keep you awake at night there.
Definitely. So we're talking about the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Obviously, without naming names, what's kind of the worst cyber attack that you've seen or that you're aware of?
Absolutely. We ourselves, we deal with a lot of different companies, and we've got one I'll keep vague, obviously, because for many reasons. But it was a similar kind of thing. It was a conveyancing company that's obviously dealing with, you know, the purchase of houses and things like that. It was a ransomware attack. So we don't know exactly because what the client tells us as well, but we believe it was through staff error. So a staff member would have innocently clicked an email, it would have opened up and then presented this opportunity. Not necessarily straight away, it could have been months in waiting before they took this opportunity. Then one day they go into work and there's a ransomware notice that's come through on one of the machines. one of the IT guys flags it, mentions it to other people, and obviously, the scare, the threat spreads from there. What happened is all their data, all their ability to get into their email systems, into their quoting systems, to their data was they were locked out. They couldn't get into it. From there, it was emails came in, and then they had to pay a ransomware. Give us X amount of money, else you'll never see your data again. Obviously, said company get in contact with us, and we, look at it, and it is true. They are locked out of their systems. They are blind, from what they've got. Should they not have had a usable backup, that would have been the end of that company. Because your information is in files now. It's not in paperwork so much or what have you. If they couldn't receive, if they couldn't get their backups back, they would have been absolutely stranded, and I have no doubt that company would have closed down. As it were, we held a backup here, so they were able to ignore these people and say, look, you've got the data, just encrypt it if you want, delete it, we don't care. And then within a few hours, I think it was probably under a day, we were able to restore their backups to here, and they were running like they were the previous day before the attack happened. What would have happened, as I say, then if they decided to pay the hackers? That's always an interesting one. Do you get, if they demand, I don't know, £50,000 or what have you, do you get your data back? You might get a snippet if you're lucky. I would imagine you get a taster to say that, we've got your data, here's a bit of it, fantastic, but now we've changed it from £50,000 to £100,000 or something like that, fill in the gaps from there. But yeah, so in these circumstances, if anything ever happens like that, it's best to cut ties, do not communicate with these people, and just see what your IT company or whoever can do for you to mediate.
Fabulous. I mean, that sounded awful, but glad that they had you there.
Unfortunately, it is. It's not. I mean, cybersecurity isn't all about happiness. Unfortunately, it's all a bit. It's a necessity. It's a bit of a one like that. But it does happen, and it's not. I can't stress it enough. I kind of touched on it earlier. It's not just people going for the big people. It is small people. If they can get you, if you're a quick win, where they can get £1,000 out of you or something like that, they will do. So it's not just reserved for your Microsofts and your large entities. It is literally. There are other examples I could give you. As the type of customers going to hit, and they're quite small, bless them. But yeah, they'll have you. And it's normally how they get into you, through trivial means, stupid things and things like that.
Okay. So next question is kind of around hybrid working. So where the world has changed slightly and everybody, or a lot of people, are working in a hybrid way, people are working from home, are there any kind of security considerations that businesses should take when people are working?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the pandemic, sorry to mention that again, thought we're all over that, presented a lot there. Overnight, people had to work from home. Great for people that had laptops, because you could take your work laptop home with you, and pretty much once the IT guys in the company had set rules up and things like that, you're okay. Brilliant. Trickier for people that had desktops, because it's a lot to move, and some people didn't have space and things. Other policies within the companies there is companies didn't want their equipment moving out, because they thought it'd be a temporary thing. So what a lot of people did is they used their home systems, their laptops, to work. Fine, but the problem is, with your average user there, is they've probably got software on there, malware software, phishing software, third-party software they don't want, that's installed for whatever reason. They might like download movies illegally or whatever, to watch them. But that's put a little program in the background, and that program can then act as a gateway into the laptop, and that laptop is now connected to your work network, which can then spread across, sort of thing. So that's a biggie. That was a prolific thing that we saw. So, unknown third-party software monitoring that on these home devices and things, getting in there. So yeah, that was the biggest there. A lot of things, silly things as well, like people using their home laptops, but they didn't have the policies on there that they should have done so. endpoint security antivirus wasn't installed on people's laptops because they let it expire when they bought it from PC World. I didn't realize it ran out after 6 months or whatever. They're out there doing all these kind of things. So that was probably the biggest thing. Really, was hardware that wasn't up to the job being used in a corporate environment, sort of thing. Really. So yeah.
And I mean, we talked quite a bit about how cybersecurity issues can happen regardless of the size of the company, so whether they're big or small. What kind of things can smaller companies do to try and improve their cybersecurity? So they might not have a lot of cash, but obviously want to make sure
No, that's it. And you don't have to. That's the thing, because again, with cybersecurity, everybody thinks, oh God, you've got to have this endpoint security with these add-ons that are going to protect you. But most of the time, it falls back to people finding a way in. And again, 95% of this is all instigated through an email. So it's just really being a little bit savvy. There was a jokey comment that was passed around the office here yesterday because somebody said they don't have to worry about what they click on because they've got antivirus software. And it's kind of true. Do you know what I mean? But there's no antivirus out there, no matter what you go for, that's 100% bulletproof. You're still vulnerable. It still falls down to you. And where I go with that one is so it's the user, it's us. Probably paying a bit more attention to things. The biggest thing is one day you're going to find that weird email come in through the things that we said about impersonation fraud, or through a Costa gift card or something like that, or an Amazon voucher or something, and you think, "Whoa, £100 for completing this survey." Well, there is no survey, something like that, and that's going to be the breach. That's going to be the small chink in the armor that lets everything through, kind of thing, So that's the biggest thing. I think you take away there for a small company is just to stop and think, about that thing that you do click on. Is it real? Am I going to get a Costa voucher or something like that? Do I need a Costa voucher or something? And go from there. There is other things out there that you can take free cybersecurity awareness training. So they'll give you little tests. They'll say, right, okay, there's 2 emails here. Which one's the bogus one? And you're like, I don't know, and then obviously you click through and complete the task, and it'll show you what to look out for on the email, where the discrepancies happen and things like that. So it falls to the user, I would say, to put that in a nutshell.
Okay. Speaking of free stuff, you know how much I like free stuff.
Very
Is there
much.
anything else that you could recommend for businesses they could use for free that will help them with cybersecurity?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a couple of favourite things of mine. Is, like I say, as most of this has been around, is the user. And it's just been a little bit smart and a little bit savvy around that. There are, for your home user, it can relate into your work as well. There are websites out there, which I'll give you a link for later, that can tell you if your email address has been breached. Okay, so you put your email address in. It's fine to do. People are going, "Oh, I'll put the email in, so this is going to spam me." It's not. It's fine. You can check on it. Google the website that I'll give you, and then you can check it there. That'll tell you if your email address has been breached at some point. Now, fine, you'll probably put your email like I have in there. I've had the same, or one of my email addresses since I was 18, which is in the late 90s. And that one's been hit about 5 or 6 different times. And a lot of them are trivial things like MyFitnessPal and MySpace, which isn't going or anything like that. And you think, well, that doesn't matter. It's fine. The problem is, and the biggest thing here is, if you've used that email address and that password combination for that website that's been breached, then obviously, and you're still using it now with that same email and same password combination, you could get breached in something else, and a lot of people do, because we're all creatures of habit. We all stick with the same easy to remember password, or might put a 1 behind it or something like that, or a 2 or an exclamation mark. But that can lead you on to different things. And how it works is, if your email address and password has been breached and they've got a list of your passwords, you might even use for your Hotmail one, it might be your corporate email address password as well, so people can get in that way. And going back to things like these M365 monitoring that people do, it can open up a whole host of problems there. So what I'd advise is have a look at this, see if your email address has been breached. If you can remember back, it got breached in 2016. Were you using the same password as 2016? If you were, probably now's a good time to change, So that's a goodie. It's an easy thing. It's a bit of fun as well, just to see. You could be good. You could be all bells and whistles. This screen can appear green. You could be like quite chuffed with yourself or what have you. Or you could be like me and it's been hacked 8 times. You're like, meant to be a professional, something like that. And the other thing is get through it. This passwords, it's the most simplistic thing in the world, but we're all guilty of reusing that. I do. We're using the same passwords and things, and it should be priority to create a strong password. I can hear people saying now that we use something like LastPass, so all your password, you're given a password and your master password is stored in LastPass, and that manages your passwords for you. That got hacked. Do you know what I mean? So, and it's fine, and that was a breach, but it's been covered now. But it still makes me think, if this thing's giving you passwords and that got hacked, then, oh God. So I think in my mind, policy here and a lot of companies that we deal with is just change your password every few weeks or what have you to something strong. But then that creates a little bit of laziness where people use, if your password's Tangerine Dream, or something, then people will do, I don't know, Tangerine Dream 1, 2 or something like that. And it's just, oh, really, my advice for passwords is to create a good, strong password. Okay, keep 1 or something like that, but, for a long time. Keep it for 6 months or something like that, but make it long. And probably the best thing to do there is not to not to put something like a word and some numbers behind it, because you'll be amazed how quickly these things can get hacked. Is probably do 3 words, make a little sentence out of it. My cat's name is Ted. I know that's not 3 words or what have you, but you make a little kind of like sentence out of it or something. So it's not difficult. My car is a Nissan or something like that, So it's long, and then put a 1 or an @ sign after it, or a full stop or something to jumble it up. And that is probably better than doing something like Tennis Superstar 5 or what have you. So make it more of a sentence as much as you can, as opposed to a jumble, of letters and things. So it has to be easy to remember. But you're just going to go, you're going to forget it, you're going to reset it, and you're going to go back to something more simple. Second link I'll give you is there's a website that you can check your password strength. You can log on to here, tap your password in, yes, it's secure, and because there's no associating details with it, you're not putting a username with it or anything like that. You're just tapping letters into it, so no one's going to go, aha, that's your password or anything like that. And it will tell you once you've been into this website your strength of password, and it will tell, oh, please do, some of you, you'll put your password in there and it will say something like, yeah, that's going to take 12 seconds to crack that, or instantly. There is no time frame to it. We're going to have it straight away. Or if you've got a decent password where, my car is a red Nissan 44, it might say it's going to take 400 years to crack it or something like that. So, it's an interesting and easy one to do. Yeah, a bit of fun as well. Put your passwords in there, see how rubbish they are.
I will. But I have another question. Is your cat's name Ted?
Yes, he is, absolutely. Yes. Security breach there, isn't there? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, exactly. But yeah.
Ted is now part of the podcast. Awesome. My next question is around artificial intelligence. So there's lots of talk about that right now. People are talking about things like ChatGPT. Can you foresee any cybersecurity issues coming from us using?
100%. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. But it's like whatever is invented to breach systems, there'll be something to counteract that as well. So yes, ChatGPT will help code to be written, to penetrate systems, but then that and other AI systems will be invented to circumnavigate that sort of thing. So yeah, yes, it's a constant battle. Something else will come up in a couple of years that will attract the attention of the media, which will, provide hackers with certain tools, but then the good people will be able to get around this again. So it's a constantly evolving thing. Yes, unfortunately, it's the buzz thing at the moment, but yeah. The other thing is I was talking to somebody this morning on one of the tech demos that we do, and years ago, and probably relates back into a previous question, but how attacks have evolved is you can go onto the dark web and you can rent somebody to hack a company. If you want to get into a specific company's details for whatever reason, you can purchase somebody to do that for you, and they'll use tools like that to do it and get you the information from there, sort of thing. So yeah. But as I say, with advances in endpoint security, antivirus, as it used to be called, and things like that, all this will help to stop it, and you'll get more alerts, and your IT guys, with what's available now, if you're in that environment, will be able to spot patterns that are emerging from it, and so on and so on. So yeah.
So you were talking a little bit there about how technology will move forward and things will be developed to kind of counteract cyber attacks. How do you think things will develop and kind of become more sophisticated to combat cyber attacks? Obviously, I'm not asking you to travel into the future.
No. If it did, it wouldn't be for cybersecurity purposes and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe. Right. Yeah. It is. I mean, it's going to get. It's a constant changing landscape. It's going to get more precise with the targets, how they do it, and so on. But there are, with your I say endpoint security, I'm avoiding the words of antivirus, because antivirus was just for viruses and things like that. Now it's called endpoint security because it's not just viruses out there, it's malware and other breach things as well, sort of thing. So endpoint encompasses it all, so that's what it is. With this, your endpoint solution providers, they don't just give you one level of protection. There are EDR and MDR things, bolt-ons, not to bore you, that can work like an IT person can. They can spot emerging threats, irregularities in code and processes that going on that shouldn't be. Once you set your rules up for the company, if any kind of like change is happening or what have you, these software utilities are there to basically monitor, alert you, and stop them. A lot of these things will be done automatically now, so they can just stop breaches before they even happen. So yeah, it's with the software, with the good packages that are out there, it is like having a 24/7 365 security guy looking out for you. So it will continue on like that, and it will get stronger and stronger. So yeah, that's what's going to be on the agenda.
Amazing stuff. So one of the things I did do at the beginning of the podcast was ask you a bit more about DSM. So could you tell us a bit more about what the company does, and I suppose in turn how you can go about helping people with cybersecurity?
Sure, yeah. Okay, so as you would imagine it, we're an IT company, so we do everything IT related. We do things, support down to 10 users right up to thousands, so we've been going for 30 years. The really interesting thing is we're on the outskirts of Peterborough. So we're in a converted World War II aircraft hangar right next to a live airfield. So if you do want to drop in, you can do. But here we would do IT support, as you imagine. Our big push, the one thing I love about us here is we try to do support on demand. So that means if you're one of our customers and you have a problem, a breach, or something trivial, you can't get the printer to turn on, your computer won't turn on, or something like that. Instead of, as a lot of IT companies do currently and in the past, it used to be like you'd open up a ticket, and that ticket would be answered within 4 hours, and then we get to it and see what it was. Support on demand, we try to get to that as soon as possible. So that's our biggie. That's where we're our focus, and we've got a lot of happy customers like that. Alongside the IT support, we do business continuity. So with the hangar size that we can take up to 650 people here. So if there was a a fire or flood at a client's building and they couldn't work from there, we can take up to 650 people here and they can work here from home kind of stuff. Important for some companies that can't work from home because they're taking card transactions and things like that. So that's a big thing here. And also we're a data center as well. So people back up their data to us. We store it here. We have immutable backups here. So, the security is paramount. So yeah, absolutely. We offer those services as well.
Amazing. And when
Amazing.
we were offline.
Oh, and this, look, if you could read
Oh,
backwards as well, that's the company thing. It's keeping your business alive. That's what we do.
I love that thing.
Yeah, that's right.
And when we were speaking offline, you said that there's a free event coming and there's free food.
There is, we do, yeah, because obviously cybersecurity is so active, at the moment. We are doing an event on the 29th of June, so next month. Free event at our hangar, so we've got ample parking here. What we're doing is we're bringing in 4 industry professionals from leading vendors out there, worldwide vendors. They're giving us the security insights, what's going on, how you can mitigate the risks, how you can learn from these kind of things, and just offering their insights into what's happening in the future. We're doing lunch with it as well, and prize draws and so on and so on. So it should be quite an exciting event.
Stuff. I'll see you there. And how do people get hold of you if they want to utilize your services?
Okay, so yeah, absolutely, please do. So if you Google DSM, we are dsm-gb.co.uk. We're in Sibson in Peterborough, so quick Google search will find us. I'm on LinkedIn. You will find me there. More than happy to take a phone call if you've got any questions or anything like that sort of thing. So yeah, give us a call, give us an email, whatever you want.
Amazing stuff. Well, I think that's pretty much all of my questions. Have we missed anything burning that you want to go over?
I don't think so. No, just as I say, have a bit of fun with the password things and see if your email's been breached. I guarantee you will be surprised on your email. On your password. That password that you've been using for all this time that you think secure, I bet you it'll be cracked in under one day.
Ooh, I'm scared to do it.
Answers in the comments, please. Absolutely, yeah.
Amazing stuff. Well, Marc, thank you so much for joining us. I really
My pleasure.
appreciate your time, and make sure you say hello to Ted for me.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me today.
No worries at all.